Hello guys, I think we don't talk enough about the Russian corruption, especially in the Russian army, because that is one of the main reasons why Putin's blitzkrieg failed, and now the Kremlin keeps failing not just on the front lines but deep inside the Russian rear. They spend billions of dollars on various conversations and articles about the Ukrainian corruption, the EU corruption, the US corruption, forgetting to speak about themselves. And honestly, as a person born in the former USSR, I know that Moscow is the mother of corruption. And now, as I record this video, at least 13 different CEOs and top managers of the Russian military industry companies are on trial for corruption and fraud. This is huge, taking into account that they always try to censor such information, but the sizes of the problems and losses are so big that it appears in the media. And honestly, when I learned that the head of the commission who supervises the production of defense in Russia is Dmitry Medvedev, the so-called sub-president of the Russian Federation with totally abnormal communicative behavior on X, I cannot name him a full president because he was always subordinate to Putin. It became pretty clear. And this analysis was shared by Reuters after Chatham House specialists worked really long to analyze what stands behind constant Russian failures and exposed weakness. Because let's be realistic, back in 2022, people had way more expectations, maybe bad expectations, negative expectations, but anyway, they did believe that Russia had the second strongest army in the world, and now this myth is debunked. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the only peace plan being implemented, the defeat and demilitarization of Russia, subscribe and share these videos to spread the truth. Because once again, I greatly doubt that even in those countries who strongly support Ukraine, you read a lot about these huge corrupt cases against the Russian military CEOs and top managers, when even in Russia you can read about them. It's, a miracle. I don't understand why you do not get access to this information, but let's discuss it and share the truth. So, at least 13 different CEOs and top managers of very different Russian military production companies are on trial for fraud, betrayal of the motherland, and of course, corruption. One of these people actually tried to set himself on fire in 2024, objecting to the charges, but this only highlights, or will it be too sarcastic to say, the size of the problem? Well, actually, at the beginning of the so-called special military operation, Putin not only underestimated Ukraine, he for sure overestimated the Russian army. And I'm sure that the numbers of tanks, the state of aircraft, the capabilities of missiles were superb on paper, but in reality turned out to be a total failure. And right now we have tons of videos, and I'm sure you've seen them, with Russian soldiers on donkeys, on horses, on scooters, and Russian Soviet tanks taken away from the museums to participate in the battles. And when this failure of the blitzkrieg became evident, Putin ordered the production of tanks, armored vehicles, and a lot of these rusty factories and plants received new orders and start working. But then they demonstrated huge non-efficiency. That's what they talk inside Russia. Corruption and, constantly growing expenses, which hint on inflation, or maybe stagflation, or maybe corruption, or maybe all of that together. Because people who never had that many production orders started exaggerating the numbers, the demands, and also started not fulfilling the terms, and all of that led to serious problems for the Kremlin. That is one of the main reasons why they, perhaps in 2022, at the end of 2023, started buying stuff from China, from Iran, from North Korea, and now the Kremlin is fully dependent on these missiles, for example. Half of the missiles that fly to Ukraine are of the North Korean origin. Just think about that and never deny that this is a world war. Like to support and subscribe. So according to this Chatham House analyst that shared the information to Reuters, Russia has tremendous problems. Apart from these CEOs and top managers who are on trial, there are other cases that are under investigation. But what they will never speak openly about is another big problem, which I personally believe the Kremlin cannot solve. Because the Russian Federation is all about hierarchy, is all about total control of the state above everything. And that's why all the decisions about defense are made by the Ministry of Defense or Rostech, that is the huge company that coordinates everything. And in Ukraine, to answer the demands of the 21st century war, and it's super dynamic, everything changes literally every month. We have a lot of horizontal companies, researchers, production facilities, people exchange their ideas, people learn from each other, people communicate directly with the soldiers, sometimes soldiers themselves innovate something, and the state supports them, but the state does not control them and does not dictate them. And I wouldn't be surprised to learn that Putin, is the one to innovate everything in Russia. That's why he still threatens the world with the missiles produced back in the times of the USSR. And the person who now is the commander of the drone troops in Russia has a very weird call sign, Yura Unitaz, which can be translated as Yura Toilet, because during all of his career he was producing toilets, sinks, and then because of his connections with the Kremlin switched to an extremely profitable drone production. But he has no combat experience, he has no inspiration, and even Russian vloggers are dissatisfied with this new position for the fake commander. Compare with Ukrainian Madar, who is all in together with his fighters, keeps providing us materials for the Russian geography lessons when we discover more about the burnt military facilities in different parts of the collapsing federation. And by the way, check a new video on Anna Danilchuk channel where we discuss why Russia is no more a superpower. And it's not me who's saying that, it's Chinese newspapers. But anyway, when I've learned that the head of the council that controls the quality of defense production inside Russia is Dmitry Medvedev, yes, the one who tweets BS on X, the one who held the throne for the Russian dictator Putin when he needed to take a break before he went full dictator mode, is the one responsible. I've realized they have no chances to, reform anything, to change anything, and will become more and more dependent on the production of weapons in China, Iran, and North Korea. But this is also a problem that reminds us how important it is to remain united and to understand that there is no other working peace plan but to defeat and demilitarize Russia. And we are working on that in Ukraine. Share to spread the truth, subscribe to my other social media channels on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, Discord, the links in the description, same as the link to our merch shop with lots of beautiful items that are perfect conversation starters about Ukraine, and we need your support and your attention. It changes a lot, and it has already created a lot of miracles and justice for us here. As Russia keeps attacking Ukraine, and it's absurd to think about any negotiations when just today the attack on Kyiv lasted approximately 20 hours with lots of innocent people wounded and some killed. But I know you know the truth. Please share to others, and thank you for becoming patrons and sponsors of the channels, for buying me coffees, helping me speak more and share the truth with you. That matters. United we stand. Slava Ukraini!